invested not in an ideological project or the maintenance of one, but instead invested simply in the thrill of destroying your enemies. And they will then turn around and fight those battles for you as well, as evidenced by the many different people that chimed in while I was watching that brief snippet. People who are fighting the battles of someone else as loyal soldiers. For a lot of those people, we might have a shared perspective. We might have a shared worldview. You know what I mean? But they've lost that perspective. In that moment, they're simply a part of a community, and they like the sense of identity and the sense of community they get from participating in these sorts of actions. They like being a part of the process. They like being a part of the blood sport themselves. Anyway. Matt Gaetz. Jaubrey is mad because he was working on a Matt Gaetz video and he was hours away from releasing his Matt Gaetz video, and it turns out he's going to have to go back to the drawing board here, okay?
Ethics Committee will release its report on former Congressman Matt Gaetz before the end of this Congress. It is a stunning reversal, and it comes after the committee said just last month it would not release the findings of its investigation into Gaetz, who was, at the time, Donald Trump's pick for Attorney General. Manu Raju and Elena Trine broke this story earlier today, and they are here now. Manu, I'm going to start with you. Give us any information that you have about, first of all, when to expect this report, and also why the reversal.
Yeah, we do expect this to be a report to release any day now. In fact, that the agreement essentially was to release this report after the final votes of this congressional session, and that could occur today. The last votes of the year could be today, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after. The last day of the congressional session is actually January 3rd, 11:59 a.m. before the 118th Congress concludes. So really any time between now and the final votes and then. And this all came secretly behind closed doors earlier this month. Remember that vote that occurred last month? That was when Matt Gaetz was then Donald Trump's pick to be Attorney General. The committee voted along party lines to not move ahead with this report. It deadlocked 5-5. And then the committee planned to reconvene later in December to talk about this. One of the reasons why some members at the time voted to block its release is because the report was not 100% done yet. There were some final changes that were being made, and they reconsidered this report that was finalized in their private meeting. Now, based on our reporting, it suggests that some Republicans may have had a change of heart, ultimately siding with Democrats who are pushing hard to release it. Now, Dana, we don't have precise insight into why those members had a change of heart, because this is a secret panel. There are sources who are giving us information inside the room that this vote actually occurred, but the thinking is unclear. One thing is clear, though, Dana, Matt Gaetz is someone who has an icy relationship with many Republicans and Democrats alike. He led the ouster of Kevin McCarthy last year. Maybe that was weighing on the minds of some of these members as well.
Yeah, icy is an understatement. Elena, Gaetz just responded. What did he say?
He did. He posted this to X responding to our reporting on this. I'm going to read for you some of what he wrote. He said, quote, "The very witnesses," that was in quotation marks, "DOJ deemed not credible were assembled by House Ethics to repeat their claims absent."
Yeah, I just want to say Forever Kevers send their regards. Okay, Forever Kevers on top, baby. Never Kevers are in the pooper, in the stinker. Kevin McCarthy sends his regards, baby. Whoo! Smoke them. When are they releasing the report? Because I can't see because of your cam. Reporting the alleged sexual misconduct to be made public by end of year. So from now until the end of December. So they got a couple weeks. We shall see.
in any cross-examination or challenge from me or my attorneys. I've had no chance to ever confront any accusers. I've never been charged. I've never been sued. It went on to say, it's embarrassing, though not criminal, that I probably partied, womanized, drank, and smoked more than I should have earlier in life. I live a different life now. One other thing he said in that statement that I found very interesting as well, Dana, is that he said that he had never had sexual contact with someone under 18. We know from our reporting, and this is even previous reporting that CNN has done, that this allegation in particular is included in the House Ethics Committee report. So interesting in itself that he was addressing that head on. But all to say, I think, look, one of the key things that we learned through our reporting, and one thing that's been clear over the last several weeks now, is that Matt Gaetz abruptly resigned when Donald Trump had announced that he was his pick to be Attorney General. That led a lot of members to speculate and really kind of question whether that was because he wanted this report to be buried. It is unusual for this committee to release a House Ethics report for a member that is no longer a member of Congress. Now, we know Matt Gaetz has said that he has no plans to come back to Congress next year. However, he is still very much a player in Republican politics. I know that he talks to Donald Trump and his team repeatedly. It's very much unclear what his political future looks like. I think this report is likely to be very explosive and potentially damaging. So that's one thing, all of us will keep our eyes on when we eventually get to see this publicly. Dana?
Terrific scoop to both of you. Thank you so much for breaking it down for us. And my panel is back now. Matt Gaetz's response on X was very lengthy. Elena read part of it. I'm just going to read more because it's something to behold. Quote, in my single days, I often sent funds to women I dated, even some I never dated, but who asked. I dated several of these women for years. I never...
He's like, you don't understand.
I am ready.
He's like, you don't get it. I'm too good of a guy. Okay? I'm too good of a guy. That's what it is. It's messed up that you're coming after me because, I like to, I'm a pay pig. I'm a pay pig. That's what it is. You're actually,
Go forth and conquer.
you're actually coming after me and you're kink shaming. I think it's a little bit of a microaggression. You're kink shaming. I'm a pay pig.
Had sexual contact with someone under 18. Any claim that I have would be destroyed in court, which is why no such claim was ever made in court. This is the pièce de résistance. My 30s were an era of working very hard and playing hard too. I'm glad that, like Taylor Swift, he has different eras.
Yeah, indeed. It's just pretty extraordinary, given what you read, that this was for even just a few days the nominee to be Attorney General, and obviously someone who raised a lot of concern among Republicans, his own Republicans. Elena mentioned that he might have other political ambitions, and this is why this is so relevant right now, is because it's not just that he would return to Congress, but other future ambitions for office, whether it's in his home state of Florida or elsewhere, could be shelved because of the findings of this report if they are as damning as they suggest. And so this is something that definitely Republicans are looking at, but also really says something about the vetting process that has gone into just selecting a lot of these nominees. We know that other nominees also have a lot of baggage going into this, maybe not as much as Matt Gaetz had, and the concerns that he raised, but still a lot of concern. And so it really reflects on all of them.
Real quick, I just want to underscore, the Ethics Committee is evenly split.
Yes, which means that Republicans had to have a change of heart here, that Republicans had to have a say here. And I do think relationships in Congress matter, and I think this vote is a very good reminder that if you go out and purport yourself a certain way and your colleagues have a certain view of you, it can come back to haunt you later. I also just think that there was probably a moment where lawmakers were thinking about the fact he might have other aspirations, and they had or felt compelled.
What's in this report must be pretty extreme, because what he has copped to is that he sent money to multiple women that he dated.
And women he didn't date.
Which I don't think a lot people say that they have done. That he drank too hard and smoked and partied too hard. Again, not just while he was in college, while he was a member of Congress.
Correct.
Well, I was a member of Congress at the young age of what, 35? Like, I love conservatives like trying to angle this. I love conservatives trying to angle like an argument I make regularly about like rehabilitation and becoming better people. Whenever they talk about like being 35 at a party with high schoolers. I'm a very different man now that I'm 37. Like JD Vance did this as well, where he was like, I was groomed by mainstream media into believing Trump was Hitler. You know, I was groomed by mainstream media into believing Trump was Hitler at the brutal age of 35. Like, that's embarrassing. That's an indictment on your brain, I think, or your lack of processing power more than anything else. They were pretending Trump's kids were children, but if you're 17 and black, you're a grown-ass man in their coverage. I know. Dr. Disrespect kind of did that too, even though he basically did the opposite thing of what Matt Gaetz did. Matt Gaetz was like, I've never actually done anything with a, I guess he kind of did a Dr. Disrespect route, you know? He kind of did the same thing. Like, Dr. Disrespect said that he had inappropriately texted a minor. Matt Gaetz didn't admit that part, but was like, I've never had sexual acts with a minor, you know? That was Matt Gaetz's. Matt Gaetz saw Dr. Disrespect's mistakes and was like, I will not repeat them.
While he was a congressman from Florida in a position of power in a significant way.
Let's talk about this now with Megan Hayes, Democratic strategist and former Biden White House director of message planning, and Republican strategist and CNN political commentator Shermichael Singleton. Yay, transparency, guys. What do you think?
I mean, look, I'm not surprised. I think Republicans did the right thing by showcasing respect to the president-elect by waiting when Mr. Gaetz was still the potential nominee to run the Department of Justice. However, this goes back to something that I said on the show with you guys. I think, Megan, you were here at the time, that maintaining good relationships with your colleagues really, really matters. And I think what we're watching play out in real time is that Mr. Gaetz just wasn't very effective in doing so. People still remember the debacle with Kevin McCarthy. And I think that had a lot to do with why they ultimately, at least from Republicans' perspective, ultimately decided to move forward with releasing this.
Yeah, I think that this also shows that Republicans have a line here with President-elect, and they have reached the line, and Matt Gaetz was crossing it, and I think that is partly why this will be released. It also is, I mean, somebody wants him out of politics and does not want him running for governor in Florida, and I think that's also why this
I wonder who that could be.
What do you make of Megan's assessment that there's a line here among the Republican lawmakers? Because for this report to come out, some House Republicans had to change their mind from where they were a few weeks ago when they voted to hold this report back. What does that tell you?
But it tells me that Republicans want to maintain their independence and their autonomy as a separate body from the executive branch. And I would argue that the president-elect, not as it pertains to this case specifically, but at least on the Senate side, has for the most part appeared to be willing to respect that separation as it pertains to many of his nominees. He's allowing them to have that advise and consent authority there. So I think this is a good thing for some Americans who may have wondered, well, will Congress maintain their actual job? They appear to be doing so. I think we can expect that for the next 4 years.
Congress is up against another deadline to prevent a
What a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Are there any tangible implications for ethics report to come out? Seems like it's preserving the illusion of independence. I think that the real reason for the ethics committee investigation to come out, even though I wanted to come out regardless, is not because they truly think Matt Gaetz is a individual that has committed heinous acts, but for pure resentment. Matt Gaetz did the force the vote. Matt Gaetz did I mean, he was a prominent figure of the Never Kevers. That's it. It's revenge. I think a lot of people in Congress are petty. They have clearly defended and kept and offered coverage and protection to serial pedophiles like Dennis Hastert, historically speaking, the record-breaking, longest-running Speaker of the House in United States Congress history, who also broke other records like being the most prolific pedophile that Congress has ever seen. So I think that it's a situation where, like, you know, Congress doesn't give a shit when someone in their ranks is like trying to minors or whatever. That's normal process. They do give a shit, however, when the person who wanted to minors is also disruptive. You know what I mean? That's why Marjorie Taylor Greene played ball You
yourself were the victim kind of the Republican Party, at least on Capitol Hill, being fractured in the House. I mean, what does that look like going into the next 4 months?
Oh, we're much more united. I mean, think about that. That was all the Democrats and 8 Republicans. One who's not coming back, and then the other part that you have, and the other part you have is one person who...
He just like rolled up to him while he was getting interviewed and tried to troll him. Like, this is crazy.
Raised the issue. He's got an ethics complaint about sleeping with a 17-year-old. So that's the way they would go. So that's the biggest challenge we have.
Same thing with the guy from North Carolina when he said what happened behind closed and they kicked him out. Yeah, that was Madison Cawthorn. And I think that, like, yeah, the Republicans packed him up real quick. I don't know if the Republicans are actually having sex parties or not. I don't know how valid his claims were, but they packed him up regardless. Yeah, GOP is also running on a razor-thin majority, and he's already losing votes for Speaker. GOP Rep Thomas Massey says he will not vote for Johnson for speaking in January, or for Speaker in January. He says he will say someone else's name instead of voting President. Why are you so racist towards Polish people? Wait, what? What happened? Who out of the people that I was talking about is Polish? Is Matt Gaetz Polish? Kurwa.
Video, we are talking about Jake Doolittle. Now, the last time we talked about Jake Doolittle was when him and Ethan were in that back and forth. We haven't talked about him since that, and let me tell you something. A couple days ago, Jake Doolittle had posted a YouTube video, and he actually posted the video whenever I was out with my friend, and I showed my friend the video, and I was like, uh-oh. Like, the title and thumbnail of it, I was like, I don't really know what's going on here. And I remember I like walked outside for a second to the smokers area and I started playing the video, and I ended up watching a majority of the video out at smokers that my friend comes looking for me, no joke, and I relay the info to the video and I tell her, this is not gonna go down well. And ultimately it has been a few days and, you know, stuff has hit the fan on YouTube. I knew it was gonna happen. There was no way for it not to happen. I mean, there's no way to say that Jake's video was not bad. Let's talk about it. There's a lot to get to. There's deleted videos, there's deleted live streams. I'm like, oh, what is he doing? Anyways, before that, just want to give you a quick reminder that we are very close to the opening night of my tour. I'm going on tour in America, London, and Dublin. Brooklyn, we are 2 months away from opening night. We have some tickets left. Chicago, we're sold out. Seattle, LA, we have some tickets left. Dallas, London, and Dublin. Tickets are down below. Also, my second channel will be linked down below. Okay, so Jake Doolittle had posted this video. I'm frustrated with commentary YouTubers. Now, at face value, whenever I was out with my friend and I saw this being posted, because I was immediately being tagged on it online, and through my like little Finsta account and my Instagram, people were like, Adam, you need to watch this video. So I see it and I'm like, okay, I acknowledge that people want me to watch this video because it's like, I guess something to do with like I'm Alex and Cody Cohen. I'm like, okay, this is probably gonna be a video I'll agree with if these people are in the thumbnail. And I said to my friend, why are these people like wanting me to watch this so much if they know that I'm like gonna agree with it? Like, what is controversial about this? And then I started to watch it myself. Now, this video has now been deleted and there has been a live stream made in response to this video from Jake Doolittle that has also been deleted. Now, I know he's made a follow-up video on this, which we will watch eventually, but I just kind of want to talk about what happened first of all, because it's not good. Sorry. I'm starting to get a little bit, you know, sniffly in New York. Apologize for my voice. Trying my best to get through here. So yeah, this video again at face value kind of reads as calling Cody Co out, calling I'm Alex out. Hey, that motherfucker, you know, is where's he at these days? You know what I mean? Thank God. But anyways, the video ultimately was about, oh God, it was Jake Doolittle. I keep going to say Jake Waddle. It was Jake Doolittle talking about his charity. and talking about the fact that he finds it frustrating that his fellow YouTubers will not donate to his charity, and that he's on people's close friends where they talk about, you know, getting sponsorships, and he reaches out to them being like, hey, you know, donate to my charity. You're making so much money, donate to my charity, which obviously is, you know, not a good look. You're literally just like begging people and trying to pressure people into donating to your charity rather than them actually wanting to do it, which is just a very weird look in general. But in the video, it started better than it ended, because it starts having this very malicious tone of him being like, I'm gonna start exposing names. I'm gonna start exposing names. Like, I'm gonna keep my communications, and if these people don't want to donate, they don't want to use their platforms, like, I'm gonna start naming people. Therefore, in this video, he is literally like, in a way, like threatening that if people don't donate to his charity, that he will start exposing them for being people that don't care about his charity because they won't donate when he's like begging them to donate, I guess. Now, the reason that I realized that this was being sent to me so much was because Jake Doolittle in the video kind of at times sounded like he was talking about me as well. He wasn't, spoiler, but he was speaking
Was that a weapon inspect?
obviously about people in the commentary and drama space that he's reached out to that don't care about charity, don't care about his charity. And a lot of people were tagging me thinking he was talking about me. I can confirm that he wasn't talking about me, and if he was, and he made a video being like, he doesn't care about charity because, you know, he doesn't donate to my charity and I know that he makes money, is very weird, and it's a bad look. Like, I don't think I have to explain why it's a bad look to make a video peer pressuring people to donate to your charity and like holding yourself at this pedestal. We don't need to talk about why that is a bad look. It completely takes away from your charity, and it takes away from a lot of your integrity, if I'm being honest. And I know that he's getting so much backlash right now, so I'm trying not to double down too much on this, but I'm trying to let you know that, like, this is really not okay to do this to people. And also to present this to the audience thinking they're going to be on your side and trying to rally people behind the fact that, like, you've messaged their favorite creators, which is, he kept saying this, and they won't donate to his charity, therefore insinuating that they were bad people. Again, I don't think I need to tell you why it's bad to do that. Like, it's very unethical, at minimum, to be peer pressuring creators to donate to your charity, and also trying to get them to donate to your charity on the basis of them not getting exposed rather than them actually caring about the charity. This is what was really interesting and confusing about his video, because in his video, he was like ultimately confessing that he doesn't care if people actually care about his charity. He just wants their money, which therefore you would question the integrity of his charity. And I know he's really passionate about this charity, so I'm like, why the fuck would you make such a hit piece video like this about an entire community of people being like, I'm gonna start releasing names and start like threatening people? Like, all about people not donating to your charity after you've confronted them being like, donate to my charity. Again, this is a very, 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 very weird look, and this video was terrible. This video was so bad. Oh my god. And then I realized that people were tagging me in it because they thought he was talking about me, because heck, it sounded like he was talking about fucking everyone. And I just didn't respond to it because I was like, I feel like this is going to take a path of its own, and ultimately it did. I know a lot of creators are talking about this right now, and we'll dive into that at a later date, but I just wanted to talk about what has been happening originally, because again, people still believe that he's talking about me in this fucking video, this now deleted video. I can promise you that Jake
Wait, Matt,
nor have I donated
you just
to his
uninstalled?
charity. That's the truth, if I'm being honest. So anyways, there's
Don't
so
tell
many
me
tweets
you
like this going viral.
Try to reinstall, man. This is good stuff, good content.
Space. Viral is...
We need lots of players coming in. So maybe Ubisoft is like, oh, maybe.
r/YouTube drama. This has to be the most tone-deaf video I've seen in a while. Jake Doolittle threatens to call out creators for not giving to his
Matt
charity.
C, did you really uninstall?
I shouldn't have to say over and over again, regardless of how much money creators make or not. You don't know people's financial situations, no matter how much he wants to claim in the video he does. Just because people have money does not mean that they are inclined or should donate to your charity. Specifically, if you're
Matt C, reinstall if you can. Hold up. What? Hi, kitty. Not sure what you want. Come over. Matt C, you're breaking my heart, man.
literally saying that they should donate so you don't threaten to expose them. Like, it's like, also, let's be honest here, like, Jake Doolittle's charity is not the greatest in the entire world. It's not, you know what I mean? There are ones that are better as well. And so it's like, you can't be like, only donate to mine or I'm gonna expose you. I'm not saying these people are donating money elsewhere. They're YouTubers. Heck, I highly doubt it. But all I'm saying is, like, to hold yourself and your charity to such a high level and you need to be the only one is a very dangerous game to play, because again, it really shows bad faith. Not a friend. And that's a very slippery slope when it comes to like charity and like having your own charity and stuff. I don't know. I knew this was gonna go bad. I said to my friend, I told her, we watched a little part of the video, and then ultimately, boom, boom. Like, you can't do this. Like, you cannot make a video, and I'm interested to see his response to this. I haven't seen his live stream. It got deleted before I got to watch it. I watched a majority, if not most of this video before it got deleted. I know he's made a follow-up video, but like, I don't know. And I know as well that like Ethan, H3, who you know I'm not a fan of, but again, I'm willing to be impartial here. You know, they called Jake out, and they've called Jake out in the past as well, so there's a little bit of bias there, but like, honestly, I don't care about bias. Like, H3 came for me, and they have bias, like, everyone has bias, whatever. But Jake commented on their live stream, was like, hey guys, can we not do this now? Like, I'm actively in hospital right now. And it just was like, it was very, him threatening to expose creators for not donating to his charity after he begs them, and then creators talk about the fact that he's threatening to expose creators, and he's like, hey guys, stop talking about this, I'm in hospital. It's a really bad look. Like a very bad look. But anyways, let's read this. 15 minutes of Jake Doolittle whining and feeling entitled to people's monies, using his charity as a cover. He acts like anyone who takes sponsorships or posts about how much money they make owe him something because of the charity. A bunch of comments are from viewers, essentially flagelating. What the hell does that word mean? Themselves for not being able to give to him. Also, I could be very wrong, but I remember some suspicion being brought up about the charity during his beef with Ethan. Just wow, like anyone who feels entitled to anyone's money or to judge anyone's financial decisions in this day and age is absolutely out of touch. He's gotten so much more bitter since the Ethan situation. I can't be the only one who sees that. Here's the thing, I'm not gonna comment on that because you could call me bitter after my Ethan situation. I'm a bitter little bitch, so we're not gonna comment on that. But what we are gonna comment on is, I did agree with this post, which says, Jake Doolittle making this video being like, well, y'all have money to the creators and I'm gonna expose you for not donating, kind of created this really sad vibe in his comment section of his viewers being like, well, Jake, I'm so sorry, you know, I can't afford to donate. I'll donate my last $5. And obviously his video was a ploy to get more donations and to make you, the viewer, feel bad that like, these big creators with a lot of money won't donate, so I need you with no money to donate. Whether he intended for it or not, that's how the video came across. And it's a very dangerous and also sad game because your viewers, at their core, are the only ones who are giving you Google AdSense money by watching ads on your videos. Therefore, to kind of be expecting anything more, like, is really bad. I mean, you can present them with more and see if they want to support you, like tour tickets or merchandise or Patreon or whatever like that. But creating a video in which you're literally like so angry at the concept of people not wanting to support your charity when they have even a little bit of money is a dangerous game, because you've now turned a chunk of your audience against you for being like, well, I'm so sorry that I'm not doing enough by supporting you. It's not a good look, and it's a dangerous game. It's not a good look, and it's a dangerous game. So anyways, they're saying that he deleted the video. He literally says in the video that he won't name names. But if he's still being ghosted next month by the creators, he's gonna start calling people out. That feels like he's trying to force YouTubers into donating to him. And it's really gross that Cody Cohen, I'm Alex, are in the thumbnail, using violence and abuse against women as clickbait. Cool. Someone said it feels like extortion. No, again, it's just, it's so bad. So anyways, there was a live stream that happened Jake Doolittle makes a now deleted live stream talking about his deleted charity video. If anyone has any access to this, please give it to me. If anyone has access to the original video, please send it to me. We will react to both. I can confirm that I have watched the original video, but I know a lot of people wouldn't have seen it. If anyone has access to either of those things, please let me know. But what's really, really, really strange is I saw tweets like this. What a surprise, just like last time, Jake Doolittle put a copyright takedown request and placed a strike on my second channel, Rob's Media Archive. Don't worry, Jake, I have tons of backups. You little worm, hope knee surgery goes well. So, anyway, oh wait, is that the file to the thing? Okay, so strike has been added.
Cover them while they get the goods.
Now again, this is just a re-upload of the video, so to be fair, Jake could do that. But I mean, the reason Jake's doing it is so that people don't post the content. Okay, does this drive have the content? Okay, this drive does have the content. Now, I'm gonna save that and watch that later because I just wanted to talk about everything that I kind of have at the forefront here, and then we're gonna watch the video. And also, if Jake tries to strike down this video, at least I'm giving you the information on everything, and then if he strikes that video down, then he strikes that video down. If you understand what I mean, I'm trying to think of this technically here. So, clearly Jake is actually in the right for taking down this because there's no change being made to the content, blah, 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 blah. But if anything, this is showing that like Jake doesn't want people to see the video, which again is like, you were very brave in coming forward and like blaming people and threatening to expose people for not giving you their money for your charity. And then when it doesn't go your way, and you've also turned your audience against you because your audience are really, they're the ones that are upset by being like, well, the creators aren't supporting, but I don't have any money, so I can't support. The video literally at its core, again, was just to make people feel bad for him, which I hate to say it, but I feel like this has been a common theme with Jake Doolittle, and I've collaborated with him in the past. Like, I've liked him, but like this video really, really, really pissed me off. Pissed me off on many different reasons, but it also pissed me off that people thought it was me he was talking about. But even if it fucking was or wasn't, he shouldn't be threatening to expose someone because they don't know, they're not donating to his charity when he's begging them to. What the fuck? This is not normal, guys. This is really, really, really not normal. This is really not normal at all. He's like self-victimizing himself in a situation, and then it doesn't go his way. He's pissed off his audience, he's pissed off the community, and then he's like, hey guys, don't talk about me. I'm in the hospital right now. I'm getting surgery. You can't do that. You can't do that. That's not fair. What the fuck? Literally, if he hadn't deleted this video, it would still be on his YouTube channel of him being like, if these people don't donate within the next month, I'm gonna start naming them and shaming them. Name them. This is really deranged behavior. It's really, 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 really deranged behavior. It's not normal. It's not normal. I saw Nicholas Diorio tweeted and said, I'm not sure why someone would donate to Jake Doolittle's charity. He helps a total of 12 people a year. Half the buttons on his site don't work, and it's essentially a lottery to be chosen, to be helped. Your money would be better spent anywhere else. I don't get it. Not this is the charity equivalent of Bo Black's plushies. So here's the thing. I don't want to talk down on his charity, but obviously he's now opened up the conversation of people looking into his charity and being like, okay, why do we have to donate if in the grand scheme of things we can donate? You know what I mean? But he's now opened this up by being a little bitch. Like being a little bitch about it. Obviously, if Jake Doolittle was to help one person, oh, look how pretty this is. Yes. I used to watch videos to go to sleep that were like, New York City lights. Baby, I'm in it. Baby, I'm in it. So anyways, he's opened this up. If he only helped one person a year, that's great. You've helped one person with your charity. That's great. 10 people. Great. You've done it. But you know, like, don't know how to say this in the nicest way possible, but like, obviously it's great what he's doing, but if someone was to donate, you know, there are other places they could also donate that would have the accessibility to help more people. That's not taking away from what he's doing, but he's now opened himself up to this conversation. You're begging people to donate, and in the grand scheme of things, they could send their money anywhere. It's just really, it's not a good look. It's really, really, really bad. And to be like threatening to name and shame people and then running off the platform, deleting videos and stuff, which again, he's done in the past. I'm like, Jake, learn from this. Learn from your mistakes, dude. Like, what the fuck? I really don't get it. I just don't understand what he's doing. I don't know why he thought this was good. I don't know why it was up for so long. I don't know why he made his audience feel so shitty. I don't know, like, dude, oh my God. Again, this is not the first time that he's like done this shit, and it's exhausting from just an audience point of view. You know what I mean? Like, I've collaborated with him. I've talked with him behind the scenes, not to do with this, but I'm like, why does he keep putting himself in this position? Why does he keep acting like this? Why does he? You're not entitled to anyone's money. You're not entitled to anyone's time. You're not, and to threaten to expose people and try to rally the audience behind these people are bad people because they're not giving you your money because you're begging for it is not a good look, dude. Is not a good look. And then when you get so much criticism that you delete the video, and then it's like, hey, can we not talk about this right now? I'm in hospital. It's like, fuck, dude. Stop. You're making this so hard. You know what I mean? Fuck me. Anyways, we will react to the other video. I'm just scared of him doing a takedown request because I will fight that process, by the way. I understand my fair use. But I wanted to like let people know what was going on first, and then we can watch it. So again, if that gets taken down, we have this. But Jake, what the fuck, dude? And why didn't you message me begging me for money? But no, seriously, all jokes aside, like, it's really fucked up to do this. It's also just really weird. And then it's the fucking rallying the audience that really pisses me off. How the fuck are you going to make a video so vague on creators not caring about what they talk about? Because this was the part of his video. We didn't care about what we talk about. We don't fucking care about victims. We don't whatever. And then you're rallying the audience to like try to expose all of us. And we're not even involved. So annoying. Like really, really, really annoying. Me when I'm in a self-victimization competition and my opponent is Jake Doolittle. Like seriously, Jake, you've got to learn from this. Like, you've got to stop doing this. You've got to stop hiding behind the fucking charity. You've got to fucking stop this. Like, this is so bad, and it's pissed me off to a whole nother degree as well, because so many people thought I was involved in it. No, I've not donated to his charity, and no, he's not messaged me asking me to donate. But his video was so fucking vague that we have all of our audiences up in our pussy being like, well, why wouldn't you donate if he asked you to? First of all, Jake Doolittle asked me to give him $500, $1,000 or something like that. Does not mean I'm gonna give him it. And to message people expecting that is crazy. But what's even crazier is to take it on your platform, threatening to expose them by name if they don't donate or respond within a month. What the fuck? What the fuck is wrong with you? This is mind-numbing levels of just crazy talk. And I'm sorry, Jake, I know you're getting hit right now from the commentary people, and I know no one in the drama space is talking about this, right? And I know I'm more so in the drama space than the commentary. But Jake, seriously, I was getting fucking tagged thinking you people thought you were talking about me, and it's bullshit to rally an audience behind something like this because it really ultimately shows like you don't care about the charity. Like, it's really fucked up. And I'm like, I hope he learns from this, but I'm like, here we go again. Here we go again. Anyways, Jake, please, for the love of God, also stop copyright striking the videos, because that is making things 10 times worse. 10 times worse, if I can give you any advice. And also, just stop with the entitlement. Stop it. I really liked him, but I'm like, Jake, stop. What the fuck? All right, muckers, we'll react to the video in another video, but I just need to give you the update. God. See you in my next one. And muckers, if you don't buy tickets to my tour, I'm gonna...
I used to be friends with Destiny, but we were, on the verge of falling out. But on top of that, there was a lot of people in my community that were, kind of hostile to guests that I would have on, that they constantly wanted me to like debate my guests. And one of those guests was Ryan Grimm. And from like 2018, from a stream that I did in 2018, like one of the earlier streams I did, where I talked about a concept that I like to call privilege blind spots. There's an intersectionality to privilege, and I have never been able to find it, and I don't even think that Little Bear has been able to find it either, even though she has scoured all of my commentary. And I don't know where it is, but I feel like that's one of the more instructive videos that I've done that I have basically repeated over and over again. No, it's not the you are not white video. No. Battle Goth 55 is on. If you hate America so much, why do you hate living here? Or why are you living here?
Out of evil clutches. Classic stuff.
Were you talking to a guest, or was it just the chat? That may help. No, it was just the chat. I mean, this is a tweet from 2020 about Kaepernick is revealing, not because her immediate reaction was to call kneeling dumb and stupid, but because her apology claimed she was barely aware of the incident or its purpose. This was 3 years after Trayvon Martin, 2 years after Ferguson. My point is, we all have privileged blind spots. This is something I talk about quite often. But that's quite a large one to have as one of the more progressive Supreme Court justices making profoundly important decisions that impact our lives. But that's not, man, I don't know, it's just a social contract thing that moves on towards the elements of biology, which is why it often goes there. No, the point is, why do people see your opinion as hate when it's your view on something? I mean, you can have a personal perspective that is rooted in hate and is reinforcing hateful constructs.
Enemies taking zone B.
So, you know, it's not just like, this was from September 19th, but this is not what I'm thinking about. This is from the video I'm looking for. I think it's on my YouTube page as well. I just don't know where it is. But it's about, but it's basically about, like, hoping that people can be charitable to one another and understanding that everyone is on an educational journey, and that being normal and being charitable to other people and just being like a cool person to be around is probably the greatest antidote to any kind of bigotry. And the intersectionality of privilege plays a role in this, where were you having a convo with someone at the time? No. No, this is not the clip. My point is this. My point back then, and it remains, is this. Every single person living in the United States of America automatically has some level of privilege over people that live in the third world, for example. And that privilege causes people to have blind spots towards people living in the global south. That's just one example, right? A black man under the same intersectionality dynamic will obviously be less privileged than a white man, but will still, if they are cisgender, heterosexual, might have certain privileges or blind spots born out of certain privileges against a black woman or a trans woman, right? Ultimately, though, this is simply a principle that I abide by in understanding where people are coming from, okay? Especially because I recognize that, was it this vid? Hassan Avi's guide to de-radicalize your friends? No. At this stuff at all, okay? I don't know anything about educating children. This is not it, but this is from 2011. That's not what I'm looking for, though. The video I'm looking for is like from 2019 or 2018, chat. That's the video I'm looking for, and it's from it's literally, or did I say 2011, 2021? Sorry. You look much better today. Maybe
This map is insane.
I just look much better now. In 2021, I was looking not great. Have you seen this? I found this legit scientific study. Yeah, I have. The legitimizing of white supremacy during a Twitch ban of Hassan Avi. Yeah, I have seen this. It's from 2 university professors about my Twitch ban from 2023. Despite newer media technologies alleviating barriers eventually for marginalized groups, is this it? Is that systemic racism just means a whole bunch of racist people who are racist individually got together and they were like, let's all be racist together? Or do you think systemic racism is something a little bit different? Something that it is still certainly nefarious and may be guided by racist people or maybe upheld by racist people, but is it institutionalized? Like that sort of disenfranchisement is built literally into the system. So even non-racist actors are inadvertently playing a part in that. This could be it.
Say that there's quote institutional racism. That's basically saying that this country was built to put, you know, colored people at a disadvantage or what.
Okay, right? By the way, that's literally what this country was built upon. I don't know if you're aware of this, but that literally was what this country was built upon, brother. You just said it yourself. Like, I mean, chattel slavery, dog. That's like the foundations of the United States as an empire were we're a consequence of genocide, and then our economy.
Okay, hold on.
Our economy literally. Wait. Let me finish my point. And our economy literally was engined by human slavery.
But for that argument, we also had a war between each other, the Civil War, to prevent slavery. So to say that this country is built on slavery, that's wrong because we went to war without it. So how is this country built on racism and we fought each other for it?
Well, did we fight each other at the inception of the country? Because it seems like everyone in a position of power at a specific point, leading all the way up to what you're referencing, people were in agreement by and large, all the way up to that point, that racism should have been preserved. And then still a big chunk of the country, a big chunk of the states, the United.
Who are you talking to? Back then, some random person. I used to debate more. Until I realized that it was like kind of idiotic and fostered an incredibly toxic environment. There's a lot of people online that have lied because I'm so open about saying that, like, I'm not the best debater and I don't really like debating in general, but I will do it if I see it to be necessary. I will do it if you know, there are people out there that I will do it if there are people out there with like massive audiences that are regularly contributing to misinformation. Here's a moment from 2019 where he used the phrase privileged blind spots. We also still have to keep in mind the average apolitical privileged person. A lot of people have privileged blind spots. A lot of people have privileged blind spots where they're completely unaware of these sorts of issues. And it's unfortunately on us, and especially allies, right? Not trans people, especially allies, to be like, all right, hold on, here's what's going on, and let me describe this to you, and do a decent job of describing what the issue is and why this is actually problematic. Okay? God, you sound so young. It's just the mic, man. It makes sense to not be actively debating and removes getting the point across in place of winning against your opponent. Personally, I wish you did more because I like the sport, but I understand why you don't like it. Yeah, the reasons why I don't like it is because the audience that debates attract are people that aren't necessarily interested in any sort of like political mobilization or real political movement. Oh, I think this is the one. I think you found it. I think this is literally the one. I was looking for this. This might be the reason. This might be the video. But my point is, debates can be instructive. Debates can be informative. Debates do have a tendency to change the minds of the 20% that are in the margins, right? 10% from one side, 10% from the other side. The rest of the people that are coming into the conversation, coming in to watch the debate, are firmly held. They have firmly held convictions, right? They have their perspective. They have their opinions. They have their worldview. They're not going to change it. They just want their interlocutor to be dominated. They want their champion, their intellectual champion, to destroy the other side's intellectual champion. And then there's some people who are a little bit more malleable. And there's value in reaching across the aisle and getting those people on your side. Having said that, however, when you consistently engage in debates over and over again, you end up creating an audience, you end up cultivating an audience that is truly toxic, that only wants that sport, that only wishes for you, the intellectual giant, to destroy others in the marketplace of ideas. People want more and more of that content, and it fosters a very toxic environment. There is definitely a moment in my career as a broadcaster that I can recall where I actually changed my mindset on this. It was, I believe, in the lead up to the 2020 election. I think it was in 2019, or maybe in 2020, if I'm not mistaken, where I used to be friends with Destiny, but we were, on the verge of falling out. But on top of that, there was a lot of people in my community that were, kind of hostile to guests that I would have on, that they constantly wanted me to like debate my guests. And one of those guests was Ryan Grimm. And
I still remember at the time, I was like, why are people being so ruthless to my guest? Like, why are they trying to pick apart what he's saying and trying to own him, right? And I thought it was odd. I thought it was not only odd, but yeah, embarrassing as well. And because I'm relying on Ryan at that moment to offer additional perspective to people and give us insight. Like, he is supposed to be a person that has, like, I've chosen as a vehicle to deliver more information. It's not a person that I'm like trying to destroy or debate. And that's when I realized like, damn, I think that constantly seeking out interlocutors to destroy in the marketplace of ideas fosters a community of people that aren't necessarily like-minded, but instead just simply want that over and over and over again. You explain it here, feel interest in maintaining a position. They are debate mercenaries. They have no real ideological rudder. They will debate both sides of an issue with the same level of passion.
Yes. It depends on who I'm arguing with. I mean, I know what he's getting at. He's trying to say that I'll take contrary positions on a thing. But if that's true, then give me an example. What's the thing that I'm a debate mercenary on? When Destiny argues against conservatives, it seems like it comes down a lot harder on Israel. Well, yeah, usually because they're saying that Israel is doing nothing wrong. But when he argues against lefties, it seems like it comes down really hard on the Palestinians. Well, yeah, because lefties say Hamas does nothing wrong. Like, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what ends up happening because none of these conversations are good. They're all garbage. I feel very confident that I could actually win a debate where I'm arguing in favor of flat Earth, just because you can always route it back to like esoteric physics concepts and then the person looks like they've lost. When you go into a debate, if you don't really know the subject matter, you can kind of use like rhetoric and logic to kind of brute force your way through it if the other person's
physics shouldn't be esoteric.
This is 100% correct. He's absolutely correct on this. This is part of the reason why I also think that debates are not exactly debates aren't the best possible way to go on a journey of truth. Like many people regularly will say, people who enjoy debates will regularly try to moralize their content consumption and don't just like look at it as something that they're enjoying, but instead it's actually an educational journey that they're on. And debates are the best possible way to arrive at the truth, right? But that's not the case. Ben Shapiro could fucking destroy a climate scientist on the issue of climate change if the climate scientist, regardless of how correct he is, regardless of how knowledgeable he is not necessarily the best equipped at arguing those positions, okay? That's it. People in Destiny, that doesn't mean that the climate scientist is wrong. That doesn't mean that Ben Shapiro is correct. He simply can appear correct. He simply can appear as a domineering force in that conversation. That's because the format itself lends itself, especially online, to people who are gifted rhetorically, people who are better orators. Destiny does this quite regularly. He doesn't have all the information. He is not the most knowledgeable on any of the subjects that he discusses. Oftentimes, he will assume a position and then move into investigate the position further by looking for talking points that he can use against his opponents. Like he tries to not necessarily dive deep into the subject matter and truly understand it, truly understand both sides and their motivations, for example, but instead he dives into the subject matter to find traps, intellectual traps that he can set up for his interlocutors in the future. He looks for talking points. This is something that Ben Shapiro does as well. Ben Shapiro is a very good debater for this reason. And so is Destiny for this reason. This is the reason why a lot of these people, Ben Shapiro and Destiny and many others that engage in debate, feel confident enough that they can actually destroy their interlocutors in the marketplace of ideas, even if the person that they're debating is actually more knowledgeable than they are. That's it. But this doesn't mean that they're correct. It simply means that they have a tendency to appear correct. And it's very frustrating because you end up making your audience less intellectually curious. You end up making your audience intellectually incurious people who are constantly seeking out talking points rather than any sort of additional truth seeking. Yeah, Charlie Kirk, Steven Crowder, these guys do basically the exact same method. That's why I find it unproductive usually
but you're only doing this if you don't know what you're talking about, and it's an attempt to kind of like slide past the actual arguments because you can't address them.
I might not necessarily be right or wrong, but they're arguments that I've thought about before. It's not that I'm smart, it's that the person I'm talking to is usually incredibly unprepared.
It's not like my position is hidden. I'm just not going to argue every single possible point that I have if I show up to argue with somebody about something, right?
If I can find some guy that's really confident in his positions, it's super loud about him online, I'm about to get a 300,000 view YouTube video roasting and grilling the fuck out of them on my stream, right? That's what we do, right? We're debate bros.
What is winning?
Maybe the person deletes their account after.
If they
or gets fired from their job.
Humiliated.
Yeah.
Like, how do you feel after you win?
It's like doing cocaine for the first time again, every time. When I debate somebody, I want to be really fucking brutal, and then I want that person to like feel like an idiot. I want them to look like an idiot. If I make your content creator look like an idiot, well, now you kind of feel like an idiot. That doesn't feel good. I'm the debater archetype.
Yeah. You do the same shit. You act like you are knowledgeable and act like you are. You do the same shit, bud. I would like for you to present some examples if you possibly could. Like, there are issues that I'm not the most knowledgeable on, and I will be, I will readily admit it. I don't know why people immediately go, oh, this is projection. Especially when I'm talking about something like a position that I've held for a very long time, for specifically the concept of debates. Like the concept of debating online. Bud, mods precision strike the second he's off camera. This is a joke. No, don't ban that person immediately. I wanna hear what he has to say. But basically, my point is this, okay? When you don't have a moral compass or something that guides you through the world, like when you don't have like a empathetic approach to all subjects, okay? And you're simply invested in destroying your ideological opponents in the marketplace of ideas, the audience that you foster in that process is not invested in a political project usually. They're just simply invested in you destroying people. They like the pseudo-intellectual wrestling component. They like the drama. Does that make sense? And I don't like the toxicity that brings on, because then you're kind of at the whims of your audience. They constantly want you to burn bridges. They constantly want you to write manifestos and drop nukes on people. And not only do I think that is unproductive in creating both class consciousness or creating a larger tent of like-minded individuals that you're not supposed to immediately cast aside, which is something that I routinely advocate against in this community, regardless of what is happening. Regardless of what people think of me or this community, this is something that I have time and time again railed against chatters on when they're so unimaginably uncharitable, right? Like, I have a very open goal. I want people to, what? This is so cringe. Bring the guy on stream. Stop reacting to 6-year-old clips that are designed to make him look bad. Lamau attack. What are you, I don't know. I don't even know what you're talking about. Are you talking about Destiny? 6-year-old clips? I think this is like new shit. But regardless, this is not about Destiny at all. This is more so about the concept of debate and the toxic audience that it attracts. And I think you're kind of proving that point that I was making. Do you see what I mean? I feel like a lot of time you will disregard people's view and bash them if they don't align with yours. I don't know, like you say, sorry. You say you're a socialist but actively benefiting from capitalism. Sorry to be rash in my first comment. Wait, but it has nothing to do with the first comment that you said. The first thing that you said was that I present myself as the most knowledgeable person, and then immediately try to like bully and ridicule the person I'm talking to. And there's plenty of moments where I do that, but that's usually after the charitability has gone away, where I see someone and treat them as a hostile factor. It usually takes a decent amount for me to get there. It usually takes a decent amount of charity to erode for me to get to that position. And I only do it if it's like, you know, it's pattern recognition to a certain degree. I only do it when like people are very clearly coming from a different community with a specific purpose to actively brigade or to actively disrupt, to actively derail. That's usually when I yell. As far as the socialist but actively benefiting from capitalism goes, it is impossible to not exist under capitalism, just so you understand. If you are truly interested in understanding this, You know, there is no way to exist outside of those confines. But in terms of like the commodities that I produce, or my own personal, the way that I generate revenue, the way that I create value, I try to keep to the most ethical ways of producing content as possible. I think many people's disagreements with me do not stem from an actual hypocrisy, but one that is envisioned by people that say, oh no, you have a moral system that I think you have, and I'm applying my standards to you, and I will not actually understand what your standards are. So I think it comes from, it's a misunderstood moral system that you have created that you apply to people. But if you're truly interested in understanding, there is no, I'm not advocating for like salary caps or anything of that nature. And I think that this is a very common misunderstood perspective where people think like, well, socialism means everybody makes the same money. Socialism means everybody lives in a brutalist architecture, government housing. Depending on where you are on the reactionary pipeline, you might even personally think socialism means nobody has a toothbrush. Communism means I take your toothbrush, comrade. I mean, these things are not correct. However, even if they are incorrect, it's something that a lot of people believe. So when the majority believes it, who cares what the truth is, right? That's it. I told someone I love democracy and told me I'm a socialist. That couldn't be true. You and your sycophants won't research conspicuous consumption. Look it up. I think if you want to understand my worldview, there are a million instances where I've brought forth commodity consumption and the ways in which I actually disagree with other prominent socialists. Like, this is not dogmatic. You know what I mean? I'm not an orthodox Marxist. I hope you understand and can be charitable about this. I think everyone deserves nice things, and that socialism inherently is not a poverty cult. It's simply what people have decided is a poverty cult. Other people have just decided that it is a poverty cult, so now you have to abide by the standards that I have presented for you.
Be destructive instead of constructive in my conversations.
Yeah. Maybe the point of a debate is actually to try and bring people together and talk about things that are important to us rather than to tear each other down.
Okay. I'm constantly tearing down, and I can show somebody why their argument is bad, but then when you walk away from it at the end, I'm just like a destructive force.
Anyway, but yeah. In terms of, I think one of the funniest things that people will yell at me about is like claiming that I'm inconsistent or claiming that I am audience captured, because many of the incidents that happen online is me not being audience captured, is me railing against the chatter because they're pissing me off because they're so like hardline. They're such like severe hardliners in the way that they approach everything, in the way that they don't want to be charitable to people who are exhibiting like certain forms of bigotry or whatever. And it's ironic because it goes back to the debate sophistry as well, where they kind of do that, like leftists and progressives kind of do that as well. And it's something that I'm very frustrated by because I think it's unproductive if your goal is to try to change people's minds. So they will, in the same exact moment, they will say like, oh, he is audience captured, and that's why he assumes certain positions even if he doesn't like actually believe it. But then they'll simultaneously show moments where I'm actually not audience captured, where I'm yelling at someone in my audience because I disagree with the way that they are approaching the subject matter. And they'll be like, oh, he hates his audience, he's getting owned by his own audience or whatever. But are those hardliners and not just trolls? Why not ignore them when it comes to clear? They're hardlining for the sake of pissing you off. I think that it can still be instructive. Like I said, if we were all sitting in a stadium where there's 30,000 people in an arena, and if you were to look to your left and look to your right, there would be at least one thing that you have changed your mind on, either before you found this community or after you found this community. It makes sense. A lot of the things that I talk about, the subject matter that I approach, like the perspective that I have, is oftentimes new for people. The perspectives that I hold are not necessarily super commonplace. It's not something that you learn and take for granted in the same way that you learn and take for granted transphobia, for example, or misogyny, or bigotries of every sort. But here I am talking about my perspective all the way back, I believe in 2019, talking about my my attitude towards debate. People in Destiny's community know your position. If you keep getting stuck on it so much, it shows that you seem triggered, therefore losing in the marketplace of ideas, which, by the way, is also indicative that, like, most people's understanding of debates are fucking idiotic. Further evidence that debates are not good for arriving at the truth and just simply about overwhelming your opponent rhetorically. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what I think debates are. And that can still be productive. That can still be productive. Make no mistake. Especially when you use that format to eviscerate and destroy the talking points of someone who is ideologically your enemy. Okay? But if you are engaging in debate for the spirit of debate, because that's your primary form of content, you're inevitably going to run out of shit that you care about, and you are going to start debating the efficacy of child pornography or the ethics of accruing CSAM. Like, that's it. That's insane. That's anyway. Or you're gonna find contrarian positions to argue against because you're arguing for the sake of argument. You're arguing for the sake of, like, winning an argument. And the community to cultivate in that process is invested not in an ideological project or the maintenance of one, but instead invested simply in the thrill of destroying your enemies. And they will then turn around and fight those battles for you as well, as evidenced by the many different people that chimed in while I was watching that brief snippet. People who are fighting the battles of someone else as loyal soldiers. For a lot of those people, I might even have, we might have a shared perspective. We might have a shared worldview. You know what I mean? But they've lost that perspective. In that moment, they're simply a part of a community, and they like the sense of identity and the sense of community they get from participating in these sorts of actions. They like being a part of the process. They like being a part of the blood sport themselves. I think you're right about most of it. I just don't understand the need to sign an exclusive streaming contract with Amazon when you know it's only done to support Amazon and push people to get Amazon Prime and settle their ads. To me, declining an exclusive contract with Amazon seems like the bare minimum. Well, you don't have to have this argument any longer, because not only do I not have a contract with Amazon any longer, even though I still am technically on an Amazon platform, I also no longer serve ads. So I guess that talking point kind of falls apart, don't you think? And ultimately, no, of course, the reason why I take an Amazon contract is because I know how to fucking play ball. I have to. And even in that process, when I took a contract with Amazon, I could have very easily gotten millions of fucking dollars to serve 6 minutes or 10 minutes of ads an hour. You still took the money, though? Yeah, I don't have an issue with this. I don't know why you think there is a problem with this. Nobody forced you to accept the contract. It seems like you came in and you made it seem as though you were charitable, but it doesn't seem like you are actually interested in hearing my perspective. I know how to play ball, which allows me charitability as a person who still is invested in having a large enough platform that I can have the most amount of impact. Okay? Yes, I don't have an issue peddling the ads of Amazon, especially when the contract that I took on was advocated to make sure that I ran the least amount of ads that I can without making sure that I had any additional problem. At the time when the contract renegotiations were happening 2 years ago, that's such Copeland, play ball, draw ball, morals, and political beliefs. Brother, I am an online content creator. I don't know why you think just admit you're greedy and move on, bro. Okay. Notice how this conversation started with, like, some semblance of charitability and very quickly turned into just admit you're greedy and move on, bro. Let's say that I am. What changes about the arguments that I present? Let's say that I love capitalism. I'm a capitalist. I love capitalism. Do you have a disagreement now with any number of different arguments that I present? Sure, I'm a capitalist. I'm a greedy capitalist. Okay, now let's talk about the things that I talk about. Do you have an issue with any of the things that I talk about? Are you simply that simple-minded that you're just like, oh, dude, socialism means no ads? Yes, because you present as anti-capitalist and anti-capitalist. No, I'm not. I just said that I love capitalism. I am not anti-capitalist at all. There you go. I love capitalism. Now let's discuss for-profit healthcare. Let's discuss why we don't have public education all the way up to college. Do you have an issue with those things? Yeah, I'm a capitalist. I still like labor unions. Do you have an issue with that? People don't want to tackle the things that I advocate for, so they immediately just go straight to the core, straight to the speaker, straight to the person, the messenger, because they don't want to tackle or talk about the actual message. And instead, they go, you're a bad person. You're hypocritical. Okay, I love capitalism. You got me. Do you guys understand, for everyone else in the chat, do you understand why it is unproductive if my community was full of people like this and they would constantly go into the chats of other people and would fight these battles? I think that it would be gross and shitty and lame. This is entirely the reason why I think simply debating for the purpose of debating is idiotic and creates like a very toxic environment. The problem is that people like you, the largest advocates for socialism, are unable to do the bare minimum to live along the socialist ideals. Brother, I already said I'm a capitalist. You're still arguing against the old me. Okay? Our movement will never get anywhere. Our movement. When the largest leader of the movement can live along the social ideals. By the way, I never even was able to address this part. When the contract renegotiations were happening with Twitch, at the time they had actually stopped the process of offering the more favorable split of subscription revenue. So the only opportunity I had to maintain my same subscription revenue split was if I got a contract. They changed that. Luckily, they don't have this anymore. But at the time, that was the case. So of course, I was like, I have to get a contract. And the only way that I could get a contract is if I ran ads. Now that I don't have this contract, I no longer run ads. So that should be proof for many people, right? If you were truly interested in understanding my worldview, you would be like, well, let me interrogate this a little bit. Let me examine this a little bit. If you're not interested in that at all and simply are there for the blood sport and your job is to try to ridicule your opponent, then this is what you do. You quickly move on and go, nobody forced you to accept the contract, and then you act like you are actually a true socialist, okay? Our movement will never get anywhere when the largest leader of the movement can live along those social ideals. What are the standards for what you think is living along socialist ideals? So you never had to take a contract to push military ads, funnel people into Amazon Prime, but you still did it for the quick bag? No, I did. I just explained it to you. There's also additional reasons as to why. I think probably one of the best reasons is because, like I said, if you play ball, then they will let you continue to play ball. If you are generating revenue for your bosses, okay? If you're generating revenue for your bosses, then they let you interview, for example, someone like Chris Smalls. They let you interview people who are directly contributing to the profit margins of your bosses being harmed. It's a give and take. Sometimes you have to play ball as long as you are not dropping your principles. I don't have an issue running ads in general. There are, however, plenty of ads that I do not run, plenty of sponsorships that I've actually willingly cast aside. I openly talk about that. A bare necessities budget would be the bare minimum. I don't think a hyper-capitalist lifestyle is good. A bare necessities budget. So can I ask you something? In all seriousness, why are you still invested in this Hassan, you're a socialist thing? I'm not. I'm a capitalist. I love capitalism. I asked you to argue against positions that I have, like, you know, moving American society in the direction of a social democracy, for example. This is what I believe. This is something that I'm very public about. Free healthcare, free education, and the like. Why are you so simple-minded as to constantly go, you're a socialist and socialism is a poverty cult and you need to abide by these standards that I placed upon you, instead of having a more productive, more intellectual conversation about the issues that you have supposedly with the things that I advocate for? Is it perhaps because you don't necessarily care and it's more so just to, once again, in your own weird way, try to ridicule your interlocutor in the marketplace of ideas? Do you have any specific policy prescriptions to achieve free healthcare and free education? Everything you say is just vibes-based analysis? Well, there are plenty of videos that you can watch that I have done over the course of the past 10 years, I would say, on all of those issues. Maybe you should go and watch them and then come back, because this is ultimately the reason why I ban debating or annoying derailers, because they're simply invested in drama baiting. And I was having a different conversation here, and there's 30,000 other people. And I think ultimately it becomes far too unproductive. I'm not going to sit here and go over this over and over again for one singular individual. No, you banned them because you lost every argument? Sure. And not because you're being unimaginably selfish. You only debate train and XQC? First of all, that's not true. And I think you know that as well. I debate people when I find it to be productive, if they have a large enough audience that have individuals that I can potentially change the minds on. Don't forget Willie McLemore. I know. And the 15-year-old Israeli that bodied you. At a certain point, I think people understand exactly what's going on. We've gone far past that point. But hey, I almost want to fucking bring you up on guest star. I wonder where this guy came from. Yeah, I know. Like, imagine me being like, listen, do you have an issue with my advocacy for socialized medicine? And you go, my favorite idiotic drama farmer actually made a video on you, openly admitted that he actually didn't even know that I was covering BBC's analysis, a video that I actually watched pieces of and realized he was actually clipping things that I was saying that I was against to make it seem as though I was in favor, like, for example, Russia invading Ukraine. And no, you didn't ask me to debate specific policy. You asked me about how I would implement socialized medicine when I've talked about it over and over again over the course of the past 10 years. If you have any sort of counter examples or any sort of counter arguments off of this pre-existing coverage, considering that you seemingly have many disagreements with me, then you should be able to come in and bring those points up. This was ironically something that I brought up with Willie Mack as well. I was like, Willie, you seemingly have a very, you seemingly have this this very serious conviction, right? You have all of these like these convictions against like what I do. Can you please bring them up? And he was like, well, watch my YouTube video. I was like, okay. Why are you coming in here with no actual fucking firmly held conviction other than fuck Hassan? Okay, that's it. You can't cite the dozens of videos in which you read tweets and claim that you have a policy prescriptive on how to achieve free healthcare and education. If you simply think that all comes from reading Twitter posts, okay, especially when you're here a week after I had the fucking Federal Trade Commissioner, okay, the commissioner of the FTC, Ta-Nehisi Coates, where I routinely interview politicians, routinely interview people that are directly a part of the legislative process, activists, organizers, then I'm afraid that we can't have a normal conversation because you're just not equipped enough to have this conversation. And Stavros as well. Bro, I'm asking for one policy. Holy shit. So you're admitting that you have no understanding of any of the policies that I have advocated for. Am I getting that right? Because I didn't just give one policy example, I gave multiple in terms of universal health care, inevitably moving towards a nationalized structure or free college education. These are both policies. It's not vibes-based at all. These are policies that are implemented in countries like the one I come from, Turkey. Turkey has a nationalized healthcare structure, and on top of that, there's also private elements as well. Turkey also has free public education, buzzwords. What do you think policies are? Get rid of the time waster, he's distracting you on purpose. I know. I want him to clarify. What is your counter argument against having a universal healthcare system in the United States of America? What is your, I did clarify, my message isn't showing up. You can't just cite the dozens of videos in which you read tweets and claim you have a policy prescribed on how to achieve free healthcare and education. I am for universal healthcare. Oh, you are? Oh, fantastic. So what's your disagreement with my advocacy for universal healthcare? I think that considering that healthcare across the board, okay, whether it's pharmaceuticals or any sort of medical care whatsoever, is a good with inelastic demand, that there should either be severe market regulations implemented by the federal government, or it should not be for profit at all. That is the reason why I am an advocate for universal health care. If you're an advocate for universal health care as well, I suspect that you and I do not have any disagreements on this. So far, it doesn't seem like we have any policy disagreements at all. You've just simply, once again, instead of addressing any of the actual issues that you might have with any of the things that I advocate for, have consistently brought the conversation back to silly things like, oh, you read a lot of tweets. It's not true. Okay? Or your perspective is informed by tweets. Not true at all. This is a perspective that I've had for many years at this point. You're also, your biggest argument against me is that I am a socialist living a hyper-capitalist lifestyle.
Somehow, I think you'll manage.
You're just saying buzzwords. Providing a basic definition does not constitute a policy. You need to outline specific budget changes to implement universal health care. All your analysis is vibes-based. This is why I said go and watch one of these videos, one of these many different videos that I've done, whether it be an advocacy for single-payer healthcare or any kind of like socialized medicine.
I'm recognizing this. What map is? What game is this from?
For the purpose of one singular individual who
it's
that's not true. There are, however, tweets that I do rely on. You do know why, right? I have also made this. I've also made this known time and time again. I use Twitter, and I'm still on Twitter specifically because all of the journalists that I trust, that I'm friends with, are also on Twitter. That is where they break their stories. Oftentimes, the tweets that I'm reading are not like summaries that some random person came up with, but instead, actual journalists that are summarizing the stories that they're breaking in the process of breaking those stories. If you personally think that your method of consumption, your primary method of understanding the world is better than mine, which is, I assume, considering the talking points that you've dished out so far, you come from Destiny's community, is to read Wikipedia articles summarizing those positions, then yeah, to each their own. When I'm engaging in news coverage, of course I'm going to look at journalists that are breaking their stories, people that work at think tanks that are writing out their analysis before they go on CNN to talk about that very same analysis. We just, I guess, have a disagreement. You like it when it's summarized and spoon-fed to you with a specific point of view from Wikipedia summarizations. That's it. This is not going to work, saying like, I can read tweets too, especially when virtually no one, I fucking hate D. Okay, well then you're a uniquely stupid person and somehow worse than the many DDG operatives that are in this chat waiting for their opportunity in the spotlight, just like you took over, because you're using his talking points without actually even trying to understand what my position is or what I've done. You're just in it for the sake of being, for the sake of having a moment of the spotlight where someone who you personally have emphasized the person of importance, offering you a little bit of.
So if you subscribed to my channel this year, you might remember me making some videos on the Cybertruck. Now, when I made videos on them, I was largely like making fun of how bad they were. We just had them just generally breaking, but there were some very dangerous things going on, like the pedal, and you guys might remember this video. The pedal covering would slide off and wedge the accelerator bouncing to the floor, and this could happen at basically any moment, and the only way you could basically stop it, I think you can like turning the engine off.
That pedal looks different, right? It's looking this. So a couple days ago I'm driving. See the really good view here. I'm driving through, this goes here. As I'm driving, this slows up and wedge itself just like that. Yeah, it's not clipped on, so it's kind of hard to see, but this wedges itself right there. And as you can see, based on the design of the floorboard, this sliding up, and the way this was still hooked onto the pedal, it held the accelerator down 100%.
Super, super dangerous, and there's been numerous like Cybertruck crashes, but what's been happening lately is there's been Cybertruck crashes that have resulted in fatalities that actually kind of follow the same pattern. And I was actually just like researching this video, and I found an article from just over a year ago talking about like how dangerous the Cybertruck could potentially be and how like it hasn't really passed safety checks. But that's obviously by design. It's the American system, and a lot of cars don't actually have to pass these safety checks. And I want to talk about this today in like the broader conversation of car regulation in the US, because as you guys might know, the Cybertruck isn't allowed in most European countries. I think recently there was a story about a guy who like drove it from Europe and it has like Albanian plates, but like that's like a loophole he got through so he can drive it, but you can't buy it here. You can't drive it with a British license with British number plates. So that's for a variety of reasons, because of our road safety and just the height and weight of cars that are actually allowed in the UK. But the US does not have this same regulation, and actually the mega truck like trend and just sales of cars is absolutely booming in America, but they also increasingly cause more fatalities to mainly pedestrians. And I want to talk about just like all of that today in relation to these like more fatal crashes that have been happening. And at this point, talking about the Cybertruck has been fun, but at the same time, if this keeps happening more and more, Elon Musk literally got Trump elected and now has his ear in the government. If it is found, and I think it's being investigated now, that the Cybertruck has significant flaws that are causing fatalities, do you think Tesla's going to be regulated by the government? I'm going to guess that it's not. But before we go any further, I haven't shouted this out in a long time. Please follow me on social media, BlueSky, and also check out my Patreon if you want to support my work. Thanks for all the support this year, by the way. And yeah, let's get into the rest of the video. So I mentioned that article that I was reading, and this is from a year ago by David Zipper, and it's called "We're About to Find Out How Dangerous the Cybertruck Really Is." And I just wanted to mention a couple things from this article because it actually is relevant to what's been happening recently. Now, a lot of the article focuses on its design, and we spoke about this, and obviously that's dangerous, and you can imagine
little on the nose, little on the nose.
That could injure pedestrians even more, but there haven't been loads of accidents involving pedestrians. But the article says, at the moment, little is definitively known about how dangerous the Cybertruck is. The federal government has not shared safety ratings, nor has the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, which conducts its own crash tests. So talking about things more relevant to the thing I want to talk about today, talks about the weight being 6,800 pounds, which weighs more than 2 Honda Accords. Heavier cars convey more force in a crash, and they cover more distance before coming to a halt. The Cybertruck's power is another concern. Last month, Tesla claimed that the high-end Cyberbeast version will go from 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. Such pickup is comparable to a Formula One race car and well beyond the needless acceleration already offered by competitors like the Ford F-105 Lightning that can go from 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. Although such power presents obvious risks to other street users who lack time to get out of the way, its practical value is also dubious. Now we get to the crazy part. Even if alarmed federal auto regulators wanted to pause or slow the Cybertruck's rollout, they probably can't. I don't know of anything that the NHTSA can do within its legal framework to prevent something like the Cybertruck launch. So this is the important part about why just American car safety is so garbage in the first place, but in regards to the Cybertruck, the reason relates to self-certification, a foundation principle of American vehicle regulation. Self-certification works pretty much as it sounds. Automakers are free to design and sell whatever they like as long as they can certify that each car adheres to the encyclopedic Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards. This sets design standards for specific elements like seat belts and steering wheels, but it contains massive omissions. Nothing in it references pedestrian safety or maximum acceleration. Two things, of course, the Cybertruck seems particularly terrible for. Needlessly quick, and also its design seems to just So if you subscribe to my channel this year, you might remember me making some videos on the Cybertruck. Now, when I made videos on them, I was largely making fun of how bad they were. We just had them just generally braking, but there were some very dangerous things going on, like the pedal and you guys might remember this video, the pedal covering would slide off and wedge the accelerator to the floor. And this could happen at basically any moment. And the only way you could basically stop it, I think even like turning the engine off.
Let me show you something interesting about my Cybertruck is that pedal looks different, right? It's missing this. So a couple days ago I'm driving, and let me see if I can get a good view here. I'm driving, and this goes here. As I'm driving this,
I don't think I played Killstar Temple yet. If we get it.
And wedge itself just like that. Right now it's not clipped on, so it's kind of hard to see, but this wedged itself right there. And as you can see, based on the design of the floorboard, this sliding up, and the way this was still hooked onto the pedal, it held the accelerator down 100%.
Super dangerous.
To my kitty.
And there's been numerous like Cybertruck crashes. But what's been happening lately is there's been Cybertruck crashes that have resulted in fatalities that actually kind of follow the same pattern. And I was actually just like researching this video, and I found an article from just over a year ago talking about like how dangerous a Cybertruck could potentially be and how like it hasn't really passed safety checks. But that's obviously by design. It's the American system, and a lot of cars don't actually have to pass these safety checks. And I want to talk about this today in like the broader conversation of car regulation in the US, because as you guys might know, the Cybertruck isn't allowed in most European countries. I think recently there was a story about a guy who like drove it from Europe, and it has like Albanian plates, but like that's like a loophole he got through so he can drive it, but you can't buy it here. You can't drive it with a British license with, you know, British number plates. So that's for a variety of reasons, because of our road safety and just the, you know, height and weight of cars that are actually allowed in the UK. But the US does not have this same regulation, and actually the mega truck like trend and just sales of cars is absolutely booming in America, but they also increasingly cause more fatalities to mainly pedestrians. And I want to talk about just like all of that today in relation to these like more fatal crashes that have been happening. And at this point, talking about the Cybertruck has been fun, but at the same time, if this keeps happening more and more, Elon Musk literally got Trump elected and now has his ear in the government. If it is found, and I think it's being investigated now, that the Cybertruck has significant flaws that are causing fatalities, do you think Tesla's going to be regulated by the government? I'm going to guess that it's not. But before we go any further, I haven't shouted this out in a long time. Please follow me on social media, BlueSky, and also check out my Patreon if you want to support my work. Thanks for all the support this year, by the way. And yeah, let's get into the rest of the video. So I mentioned that article that I was reading, and this is from a year ago by David Zipper, and it's called "We're About to Find Out How Dangerous the Cybertruck Really Is." And I just wanted to mention a couple things from this article because it actually is relevant to what's been happening recently. Now, a lot of the article focuses on its design, and we spoke about this, and obviously that's dangerous, and you can imagine how that will cause like more fatalities and how that could injure pedestrians even more, but there haven't been loads of accidents involving pedestrians. But the article says, at the moment, little is definitively known about how dangerous a Cybertruck is. The federal government has not shared safety ratings, nor has the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, which conducts its own crash tests. So talking about things more relevant to the thing I want to talk about today, talks about the weight being 6,800 pounds, which weighs more than 2 Honda Accords. Heavier cars convey more force in a crash, and they cover more distance before coming to a halt. The Cybertruck's power is another concern. Last month, Tesla claimed that the high-end Cyberbeast version will go from 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds. Such pickup is comparable to a Formula One race car and well beyond the needless acceleration already offered by competitors like the Ford F-105 Lightning that can go from 0 to 60 under 4 seconds. Although such power presents obvious risks to other street users who lack time to get out of the way, its practical value is also dubious. Now we get to the crazy part. Even if alarmed federal auto regulators wanted to pause or slow the Cybertruck's rollout, they probably can't. I don't know of anything that the NHTSA can do within its legal framework to prevent something like the Cybertruck launch. So this is the important part about why just American car safety is so garbage in the first place, but in regards to the Cybertruck, the reason relates to self-certification, a foundation principle of American vehicle regulation. Self-certification works pretty much as it sounds. Automakers are free to design and sell whatever they like as long as they can certify that each car adheres to the encyclopedic Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards. This sets design standards for specific elements like seatbelts and steering wheels, but it contains massive omissions. Nothing in it references pedestrian safety or maximum acceleration, two things of course the Cybertruck seems particularly terrible for. Needlessly quick, and also its design seems to just want to hurt pedestrians. So as long as car makers like Tesla do not explicitly violate this, they are free to use whatever designs and features they like in the US. Elon Musk has said that the Cybertruck had passed all of the regulatory tests, but no such tests are required or even available from the federal government prior to the launch of a new vehicle. Tesla just needs to give itself the go-ahead. If these compliant vehicles seem dangerous, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration can only intervene after launching an investigation that identifies a pattern of related incidences. So remember this. NHTSA has recall authority, but they have to wait until something happens before they can take action. In the meantime, the faulty vehicles are on the road, endangering everyone. So of course, that just sounds like absolutely fucking insane that you can just make any car and self-certify it. Now, of course, you do have the elements that, if you are a car company that keeps self-certifying and your cars get investigated and recalled, then obviously no one's going to trust the brand. But also we've seen with the Cybertruck already, it does have loads of faults that are very dangerous, and Tesla has done its own recalls, but the government is not stepping in to regulate it yet. But it is starting to investigate it. Seems like it's a little bit too late, as this car is just spreading all across America, and it's just a reflection of a wider problem that capitalism in America allows obviously most industries to buy the government, so they're not going to be regulated properly, and they're not going to be regulated out of maximizing profit. And when the head of Tesla is now basically part of the US government, is there going to be more car regulations under the Trump administration? Is there going to be sanctions on Tesla? Are the Cybertrucks going to be pulled off the street by the government? I highly doubt it. And, as I said, they are investigating now because there's been fatalities that have a similar pattern. So back in August, this came out, the first Tesla Cybertruck fatality. A Cybertruck driver died in Texas early Monday morning after their truck left the roadway for an unknown reason and smashed into concrete. The local news station reports the Cybertruck became engulfed in flames after the crash, complicating the victim's identification. So that is in August, and then recently this happened. Another deadly crash shows Tesla Cybertruck is not very good at keeping passengers alive. So remember the first one? It's a crash where the driver goes off the road and steers into concrete and then gets engulfed in flames. Here's another one. So the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration is investigating a Tesla Cybertruck crash in Piedmont, California that killed 3 people and injured a 4th, and it's the second Cybertruck crash that has resulted in a deadly fire. So this one occurred on Wednesday, unfortunately claiming the lives of 3 passengers in the truck, and a 4th was saved from the wreckage, but he was severely injured. According to the San Francisco Chronicle, all 4 of the occupants were sophomores in college. While the cause of the crash is still under investigation, the police department says the electric pickup truck was likely speeding when it hit a curb. From then, it was projected into a cement wall and got stuck between a wall and a tree, bursting into flames. So the crash has also caught the attention of the big guns at the NHTSA. The agency confirmed it's gathering information from the manufacturer and law enforcement, and it investigates crashes involving vehicles with self-driving features, and the Cybertruck is one such vehicle. It's unclear whether the Cybertruck was driving with the driver assistance features enabled at the time of the crash photo, and Tesla recently rolled it out and other driver assistance features to the Cybertruck. That is something I didn't speak about so far in this video, but I did actually make a whole other video about the self-driving a couple months ago. And it seems like an absolutely insane thing to have for this car, and as you saw in my other video, it can work well to some extent, and there are examples of it working well.
It's still, I'm off the controls now. I'm also going to be impressed if it passes this bicyclist again.
Take it out.
Okay, the bicyclist has signaled me. He said that, thank you. She said that go around him. You know what? My last 12 years of off-road experience just went out the window. The truck will now, well, we're not at the hardest parts yet. Let's slow down. Let's slow down. Do you see this? Oh, wow.
Wow.
It made that turn.
But there are also examples of it trying to drive into oncoming traffic.
Here's my visibility. I can see it. It's wide open, so I should just go. Perfect. Ooh, I did it. You see that? Okay.
That's not how it's supposed to work.
No.
Whoa. You almost ran into that truck.
We got a green light. Car's waiting a little bit. And beautiful. Oh! Not so beautiful.
And in this case, I don't think that crash was probably caused by self-driving, because what you see with a lot of the self-driving errors, even with the Cybertruck, is it's not about speed, it's just about where it goes, and it normally goes into oncoming traffic or pull out into oncoming traffic. So I don't think it's that. I think it's more like the other person probably losing control of a car that can go that fast. And it seems like this car is both not designed to keep pedestrians safe from it, and also not designed to preserve the life of people crashing in it. If two cases in about 5 months of each other have the same outcome, where they crash into concrete and the car basically goes on fire and kills most of the people inside. So it's good that they are trying to investigate it now and see if there is a problem. But as we've seen, there are well-documented problems that go far beyond the self-driving, stuff to do with like the accelerator pedal. Could that have happened here? Could have it got stuck and just went crazy and smashed into a wall? Potentially. Could it have been a glitch with the steering system? Could it have been a glitch with the OS? And we've seen that where it can like lock the steering just randomly, but you keep going at speed and these people might panic. So yeah, it seemed like a really dangerous car, but at the moment, while that article originally said it was going to be mostly dangerous pedestrians, it seems like it's mostly dangerous to the people driving it itself. And in this context, self-certification seems like so absolutely insane when it's driven by like an absolute egomaniac and a guy who hates regulation in Elon Musk. So you're just getting these dangerous cars like roaming the streets and just, in my opinion, being like a time bomb. And it's good, in my opinion, these cars aren't anywhere in Europe. Now, you guys might be asking yourselves, like, what is being done at the moment to stop these mega cars from being everywhere? Is there any regulation incoming? Is there just anything coming to stop this crazy trend of more Americans buying cars like the Cybertruck, which can be so...
Elon Musk is literally in the government now. So the answer is fuck no.
Lethal to pedestrians. You might be a little bit disappointed, but I do have a couple other articles to outline this. And here's just some statistics I read from an article called Why Regulators Aren't Taming the US Megacar Crisis by Kia Wilson. And it says, today megacars account for a staggering 75.9% of new car sales. That's up from 53% just 8 years ago, and that's expected to grow despite the fact that people on foot are up to 3 times more likely to be killed when struck by the drivers of such vehicles. The megacar boom is widely acknowledged to be a primary driver of the US pedestrian death crisis, but it's also killing other motorists. The drivers of smaller cars are 158% more likely to be killed by pickup truck drivers in the event of a collision, and 28% more likely if they're struck by someone behind the wheel of an SUV. Despite the mountain of evidence that today's most popular cars are too dangerous for anyone outside the vehicle, the Federal Department of Transportation has long been hesitant to regulate them, and in particular to set limits on how tall, heavy, or aggressively designed the front end of a light truck can legally be. So it seems like with many things in America, from food to cars, where's the regulation? Why is the regulation not coming? There's one answer. Money. Money. It's the car manufacturers bribing the government and putting pressure on the government not to regulate them because, yeah, it's going to get in the way of profits, it's going to get in the way of self-regulation by the car industry, and it's going to hurt the increasing sales of these absolutely insane mega trucks across America, which are so lethal to pedestrians. But does the American government care about the American people, or does it care about corporations that make cars? Like, you know, we know the answer to that. But I did read an interesting article also about, you know, people trying to tackle this. So Bike Portland, Jonathan Mouse wrote, "The days of mega trucks and supersized SUVs are numbered." I don't think this, but it was an interesting article. So New York Assembly member Zoran K. Mamdani, who represents District 36, was on a panel titled Supersized SUVs, Megatrucks and Regulatory Failure. Mamdani is frustrated by federal inaction and has introduced a bill that would tax vehicles based on weight. He wants to de-incentive the purchase of vehicles that have a direct link to the higher likelihood of killing children and people on the streets. It's up to us to make it clear to New Yorkers when they purchase a vehicle of a certain size and a certain weight that it comes with an additional cost, and that cost should be a fiscal cost, not just a moral cost. He goes on to say, what we have is an industry that is almost entirely unregulated, that is pushing larger and larger vehicles, tying into the notions of masculinity. Vehicles that can't even fit inside parking spots, and yet for some reason they will continue to be allowed to be sold. The state has a role in incentivizing the way in which the market acts. If the state puts additional costs on certain sizes of vehicles, then I think it creates an opening for there to be smaller vehicles. I believe if there's a clash between the market and the state can and should win. You must try and influence the market itself, because the market is driven only by profit, and it is a sad fact that you can make a lot of money making cars that kill people. And so we cannot hope that they change, we have to force them to do so. The article just goes on to say, you don't need a policy background to support more regulation. Jessica Hart said, I am here because I don't like big vehicles, I think they are horrible, deadly and unnecessary. And she lost her 5-year-old daughter Alice, who was killed in 2021 by the driver of a large van while biking in a crosswalk. The thing with regulations is a lot of regulations are paid for in blood, and it's obviously terrible what happened to that woman's daughter, but that's why speed limits are lowered. Like in the UK right now in London, a lot of the speed limits have been reduced to 20. People get really mad about this. I don't think it's such a bad thing, because the likelihood of you basically killing someone going 20 miles an hour is way reduced, especially because you might have time to hit the brakes, reducing it even further compared to something like 30. And obviously we know, and if you drive on the roads, you know, most people do not stick to the speed limits. And that as well, we know when the speed limit was 30, a lot of people go 35, 36, 37. So even with that, if people are going 25, 26, 27, that's still a net positive, because even though people aren't sticking to this new speed limits, they're not going to be going like 35, 36 in a 20, right? So those things are all good. But again, with a lot of these things, it's paid for in blood, and then the government has to make the decision, do we give in to the lobby groups influencing the policy, and many capitalist governments do this, or do we do something for the people to protect them? And sadly in America, more than most countries, it's almost the corporations who get the favor, despite the fact that they will make profit of killing people through these massive cars. It doesn't actually matter. And of course, as well, with American car culture, public transport is generally pretty rubbish. The whole of like the suburbs is designed around everyone driving. There's actually like no incentive for the government to regulate things if they are in bed with these lobby groups. And also what that New York council member was saying, I even disagree with that, because if you're talking about like making these cars more expensive, the Cybertruck costs like $100,000. So if you're putting, let's say, like a 10% tax on that because it's heavier or whatever like that, let's say it's up 10% based on its weight, these people are still going to buy it, because it doesn't matter. If you're dropping 100 grand on a car, whether that be on finance or you just have the means to drop 100 grand on a car, I don't think an extra 10, 20 or even 30 grand is probably going to make much of a difference to these people. They'll still buy it. The people who are buying these cars won't be turned off by a simple tax. And again, what I feel like they should do is, like most of the European Union and the UK, ban cars these size for multiple reasons. But again, even if they investigate Tesla and find that there's something they've done wrong that makes these cars more flammable in a crash, again, Elon Musk is going to be in charge of stuff in the government soon. They're not going to regulate this, and they're going to continue not to regulate this. And when I talk about America, but just general capitalist countries like the UK, it's just like so much shit is ruined by capitalism, like privatizing public services, privatizing water and then dumping sewage into rivers. And you're just like, this makes so much sense to not privatize these things, to not do things just like purely for profit incentive, because that benefits no one but a group of shareholders. But that is just capitalism for you. Nothing is done in the public good. So that is it for the video. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And if you made it this far, thank you for watching.
Shouldn't explain flavor, I mean original.
Nobody cares.
Indian, Canadian.
So if you subscribe to my channel this year,
I wasn't planning on making a video today.
Acknowledgement.